Hello students, welcome again to your CBSE Time Saver English Class 12 course with me, your professor, your teacher, your facilitator, Ambika Singh. And we are on lecture number 4 now. A Thing of Beauty is a poem from your syllabus from Flamingo. And as I have already specified to you enough number of times that I want you to sit down with your books when you are sitting down to listen to my lectures. Because if you don't take down notes, it's kind of a problem to revise later when you have the exam right over your head. Then you will have to go through your own notes also, take a look at the lines in the poem and write down the word meanings. All of these small things are very important when you are attending a lecture. All of these collectively add to your preparation for the exam. So please keep the book right in front of you. If you do not have the book right in front of you, you can open a PDF. There are enough number of PDF links like NCERT links on the web. So you can just open a PDF of the poem and perhaps in your own notebook, note down the things that I am saying and write down word meanings, write down explanations, probable meanings, your own interpretations of the lines of the poem. All of these things are important. Okay, so today we have A Thing of Beauty. And it's by a very famous poet called John Keats. John Keats is one of the most celebrated poets of the world. He was a British romantic poet. British romantic poet means he was a poet from the Romantic age, and he is somebody who accomplished so much in terms of writing, in terms of literature, in his very short life also. If you see, he was born in 1795 and he passed away in 1821. So he had a really short life. He was sick and he passed away very early in life. But in that short amount of time, he gave the world some of the best poems, some of the best pieces of literature, which is why you have a poem by him in your syllabus. So let's read a little bit about the poet first. One thing I want to tell you is that even though there are usually the questions from about the poet are hardly any in your exam. This usually does not happen, but still to go through the section about the poet is very important, because if you have gone through it, even if they happen to ask something about the poet, you should know. And they will ask general things only. They are not going to ask very specific things which are not there in your NCERT book. They might ask what is the larger poem from which this poem has been taken. So something like that you should know, you should note down, and you should be able to recollect in the exam. Otherwise you would be confused. Even if you have gone through it and you have not tried to make a note of it, take a note of this particular thing, then it can be confusing you in the exam. So let's discuss about the poet first. John Keats was a British romantic poet. Although trained to be a surgeon, he was trained to be a doctor, he was trained to be a surgeon, Keats decided to devote himself wholly to poetry. Even though he was trained to be a surgeon, he decided that poetry was his life, that his vocation for life was poetry, was literature. Keats' secret, his power to sway, to influence and delight the readers, lies primarily in his gift for perceiving the world and living his moods and aspirations in terms of language. He has great influence through his poetry. He has great influence on people who read his powerful words. And the following is an extract from his poem Endymion, a Poetic Romance. It's a much longer poem called Endymion, and it's what you have in your syllabus is an extract from the same poem. So the main poem is Endymion, a Poetic Romance, which is based on a Greek legend. There is a Greek story, Greek legend, in which Endymion, the titular character in the poem, Endymion, a beautiful young shepherd and poet who lived on Mount Latmos, had a vision of the moon goddess Cynthia, The enchanted youth resolved to seek her out. He decided to seek her out and so wandered away through the forest and down under the sea. See, you don't need to go through the complete legend. You don't need to know about the entire legend. But just remember that your poem, the poem that you're doing in your syllabus, A Thing of Beauty, the piece of poetry that you have, which is titled A Thing of Beauty, is from a longer poem called Endymion. So remember. And the titular character in that particular Greek legend is Endymion, who happens to be a young shepherd, So if you can remember just the basic things, it is enough. You don't need to remember a lot of things. Remember that it is from Endymion, a poetic romance. The poem is based on a Greek legend in which there is a person called Endymion, who is a young shepherd enchanted by the vision of Cynthia, the moon goddess, okay? The moon goddess. He was enchanted, he was extremely, enthralled seeing her, and he had a vision of her. And he kept chasing her, he kept, because she had that kind of influence on him that he kept wandering in the forest to look for her. So just remember, Endymion, a poetic romance based on a Greek legend in which there is a young shepherd who is enchanted by the moon goddess called Cynthia. So this is the larger thing. What you have in your syllabus is A Thing of Beauty. So now look at what you have in your syllabus. What lines from the larger poem do you have in your syllabus? Let's rub the board first. And I hope your exam preparation is going very well. If it's not going well, please, please, please start preparing. You do not have a lot of time. It's important to prepare well in time, before time in fact, because when the exam is just around the corner, it's difficult to, because you are putting in too much information in your brain all the time. So I would want you to avoid that and prepare well in advance. Like for instance, right now, it's a very good time that you start, and you will, like, even if you have completed the lectures, you will still have time for revision. And as I told you, it is a time saver course, so we are, focusing on what's extremely important for you. A Thing of Beauty is a joy forever. I'm reading out everything first, the entire poem first, and then we will go line by line, seeing what it means, what every line means. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, its loveliness increases. Try imagining it, try creating an image in your head, what the poet is trying to say. It's important to have an image in your own head also when you are reading the lines, because only what I say does not have to be the explanation. You can have your own interpretation as well, and I keep telling you this all the time. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us. And sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Therefore, on every morrow, are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Such the sun, the moon, the trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils with the green world they live in, and clear rills and clear streams of water, that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season, the mid-forest break, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens brink. So I've read the entire poem to you. I hope something has been, has registered in your mind in terms of what the poet is trying to say. The larger message of the poem is that there are things of beauty that keep us going in life. You may be disappointed, you may have had bad days, you may have had a lot of disappointment in life. Already we are chasing so many material things in life all the time. Our chase is wrong. Our overall approach to life sometimes becomes so selfish that we are constantly moving on over darkened paths. We have created a life which is equivalent to death for ourselves. We have over darkened paths. Our spirits have been called dark spirits here. And the only respite for us, the only relief for us is the relief via nature, is the relief via the beautiful objects that surround us all the time. And the poet begins with how a thing of beauty has the power over you. If you have enjoyed it once, each time you look at it, it can completely mesmerize you, it can completely enchant you, it can take you away from your sadness, from your disappointments, from the selfishness that you have surrounded yourself with. It can relieve you body, mind and soul. Each time you look at an object of nature, at a thing from nature, that thing of beauty moves you away from sadness. And also, having enjoyed a thing of beauty once, gives you this capacity that each time you think about it, each time you recall how you felt when you looked at that thing, that moment also can relieve you of your pains. So let's go line by line about the poem. Okay, stanza 1 here, like I have written a few lines on each slide, not crowding your slides a lot. So please take a look at the book or the PDF as well when you are reading. It is always better to have an idea through your own book as well. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. And here they don't mean material things of beauty that we have surrounded ourselves with. The poet is not talking about your new iPhone or the new Apple Watch that you have got. He's not talking about those things of beauty that you find beautiful. The poet is talking about natural things of beauty that inspire you, that let you go on in life, that help you go on in life. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Anything that's truly beautiful has this power to give you joy forever. It will keep on giving you happiness forever. It's not a momentary happiness that you feel with material things. You buy a new car, you feel happy for some time. You buy a new watch, you feel happy for some time. You buy a new phone, you feel happy for some time. Everything that you chase that comes via money to you is just for momentary, happiness. It gives you happiness only for a few moments. But true beauty has this capacity to enchant you, to make you happy for longer time, for forever. There is no definite time span for which you will feel that happiness. You will feel happy forever through a thing of beauty. Its loveliness increases. In fact, the happiness that you get, the beauty of that thing never diminishes. It keeps on increases. Its loveliness, its beauty, the effect it has on you, it goes on increasing instead of decreasing. It will never pass into nothingness. It will never go. It will never pass into nothingness means it will not go. It will stay. It is there to stay. Once you have been able to appreciate a thing of beauty in nature, in things around you, it will not pass into nothingness. It is therefore to stay with you. But will keep a bower quiet for us. Note down the meaning here, bower. It will keep a bower quiet for us. Bower is a shady place, a pleasant place under the shade of trees. It's a cooling kind of a place. It's a nice soothing place where you can sit down and quietly breathe. It's a meditative kind of space. So it's nature only that provides you that kind of state. Like when you are in the lap of nature, when you are near a bower, when you are near a shady place full of trees, you have those pleasant feelings already. You feel relieved. You feel all of your pains, being alleviated, being taken away from you, because you can breathe quietly. You're not in the rush of the city. You are not in the midst of pollution, in the midst of rush. You are in a very safe place for yourself. You can breathe quietly and you can feel that happiness and joy. You can feel a lot of peace. A bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams. A sleep full of sweet dreams here is symbolic of peace, happiness, meditative kind of sleep. It gives you good dreams. If you are in the lap of nature, if you are surrounded by objects of nature, not only are they beautiful to look at, they give you good sleep, they give you that kind of peace, they give you that kind of tranquility. So note down, it gives you peace and tranquility, it gives you sleep which is not disturbed sleep, it gives you sleep which is quiet and happy. And quiet breathing, obviously, because I told you that it is a meditative kind of space, so you get a lot of happiness and quiet breathing. Therefore on every morrow, see this therefore that is written here in the poem, see this therefore in relation to what's just said here. What is the poet saying here in the lines previous to therefore, to the last line here on the slide? The poet is saying that a thing of beauty is a joy forever, that its loveliness increases. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, its loveliness, its beauty goes on increasing, it does not decrease with time like the beauty of other material things that you see, like the iPhone that I was talking about. As soon as there is a new iPhone in the market, you don't want your own iPhone, right? You want to get that particular iPhone, you might queue up for it, you might order in advance. And you do this for a lot of material chases in your life. iPhone is just an example. But true things of beauty, they have the capacity of being good, beautiful, happy all the time. They are not going to, just be out in the air and gone. They are here to stay. If you appreciate a thing of beauty, it is going to give you calm and peace and happiness and tranquility forever. So its loveliness will increase. Go line by line. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, ticked. Its loveliness will increase, it multiplies in its beauty, does not decrease. It will never pass into nothingness, it will not become a zero ever. It will never become a zero in your life. It will always be. If it's there once, it has the power to stay. It has the power to inspire and influence. It has the power to alleviate your pains. It will always keep a bower quiet for you. It will always give you a bower, it will give you a shady place. Nature gives us that, it gives us a place of trees, tranquility, it gives us a place where we can rest, we can have a good dream, we can have a pleasant sleep with sweet dreams, not nightmarish kind of episodes. So you can have a bower via nature and you will get health, quiet breathing, all of the benefits, all of the bonuses of being in the lap of nature. What are the bonuses of being in the lap of nature? Sweet dreams, health and quiet breathing, rest, tranquility, peace, everything you are getting in the lap of nature. Therefore, now look at the therefore, because you get all of it, therefore on every morrow, morrow means morning, note it down, write it down there, morrow means morning, therefore on every morrow, are we reading, note it down, reading means weaving, binding. Therefore on every morrow, I am moving to the next slide, please note it down. Therefore on every morrow, are we reading a flowery band to bind us to earth. Now take a look at this slide, take a look at the next few lines here. Therefore on every morrow, every morning, are we reading, are we weaving a flowery band to bind us to earth. Note it down in your notebooks or in your books, however you want to write it. This particular line is a reference to your bond with nature. It is a reference to your bonding with nature, with Mother Earth. Because you get all of those things from Mother Nature, you get sleep, health, quiet breathing, happiness, joy, you are getting so many things. Therefore, every morning, on every morrow, every day of your life, you reconnect with nature. No matter what is there in your surroundings. You may be surrounded with material chase, you may be surrounded with selfishness, you may be surrounded with the lack of humanity in the world, you are completely sad. You are in a depressed state. But the only solution is to reconnect with nature every day. So this flowery band that you bind with Mother Earth every day, you have to understand that a lot of things the poets write, not literally, they mean it figuratively. When he says flowery band, you are binding a flowery band every day. You are doing that because in a way you are counting your blessings. In a way, every morning, every day of your life is a fresh day. You count your blessings and you move towards a better path. Every day is a new day, and every morning is a beautiful, bright morning where you see that there is beauty in the world. Morning follows night. There can be darkness in the night, but the morning always brings joy and happiness. The morning always is bright for you. So you reconnect with nature, because you know that nature is the only solution to darkness. So it refers to your bonding with nature, your bond with nature. You're not practically, literally sitting every day and making a flowery band, but you are reconnecting with nature. Pay attention to the next few lines as well. Spite of despondence. Now, spite here refers to despite. Spite is despite. You know the English word despite. Spite of despondence. Despondence means disappointment. Note down the meanings, please. Despondence of the inhuman dearth, of the lack of humanity. There is a dearth, there is a lack of humanity in the world. We are living in a world which is more inhuman than ever before, and it will remain like this, but you have to find your sources of joy, and there are enough number of things that can give you that everlasting happiness. So there is disappointment, there is despondence. If you cannot remember the meanings, please note them down. Spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of the lack of humanity that you are experiencing in the world, of noble nature. There is always a dearth of noble natures also. Noble natures here is a reference to lack of nobility in the world. Nobody is noble, and not that people, the basic nature of all human beings is good. The basic nature of all people is good. We are all created good and happy. But the point is that we have chosen the wrong paths for ourselves. And when you choose the wrong paths for yourself, what happens? You can be sad, you can be depressed. There are so many lifestyle diseases because we fail to address the joys of nature. We fail to be one with nature because we have chosen paths that are opposing our basic nature. Our basic nature is with nature, but we have chosen paths that are taking us to sadness and depression. So there is a lack of humanity in the world. There is disappointment, of course. There is a lack of nobility in the world. We do not have noble qualities. We have our days extremely gloomy. We have gloomy days. We have sad days. Please note down the meanings. We have lack of nobility. We have a lack of good qualities in the world. And we have created so many unhealthy ways for ourselves. I just mentioned them. Of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways that we have made for our searching. We are searching. We are human beings constantly craving more happiness, but instead of that, we get more sorrow. We get more sorrow because we are moving on over-darkened paths. We have created paths for ourselves that are not meant to be good paths. They're not paths that are taking us to, to better life. They are taking us to sadness and a depressed state. So we have unhealthy ways of living, we have over-darkened ways, our paths are dark, as I told you. We are constantly in search of things that are materialistic pleasures, and they don't give us happiness in the longer run. They are not there to support our lives. And we are constantly searching. See, human beings' state of mind has become such that we are constantly searching. And this search is not for a reason or for truth. This search is for gains that are not going to give us happiness. Yes, in spite of all. Now beautifully, how beautifully the poet is saying it. Say the lines again with me once, read them out, maybe you will have a feeling. A flowery band to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened paths or ways made for our searching, yes, in spite of all. Yes, these are our problems in our life. This is exactly what's happening to us. We are living dark lives. We are living like dead bodies all the time. Yes, in spite of all. Now pay attention. Yes, in spite of all, yes, despite all of it, there is something that can give us happiness. And what is that thing? We started the poem with that. There is something that can give us happiness, and what is it? It's some shape of beauty that moves away the pall. It's some shape of beauty means you can be very sad, but there would be some shape of beauty. Beauty in some form. Some shape here refers to some form of beauty, some form of nature's beauty. True beauty is there to make your life better, is there to make your life more, more fulfilling. It is there to make your life happier. So some shape of beauty moves away the pall. Pall, please note down what the word pall refers to. Pall is actually a cover, it's a cloth with which we cover a coffin, a dead body. So pall is a reference to that. So what does the poet mean by this here? By saying that we have a pall over ourselves. Are we dead? We are living like dead. See, when you are only chasing material things, when you are selfish, when you don't have humanity, when you don't think much about other human beings, what kind of life are you living? The life that you're living is a dead life. It's more like you are dead inside completely. There is a cover of sadness. So Paul here, see, this is a very good choice of word. It's a pall, it's a cover of sadness. It's like a shroud on us. It's like a cover that's put on dead bodies. And what is this sadness? It is the cover of, it is the sadness that we have as a result of our unhealthy ways. So it is a cover of sadness, of gloom. We are living like dead people. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. Our spirits are dark, but they can be enlightened. How? By a thing of beauty. Now there are some examples of nature's beauty given here. Pay attention. These are the various things from nature's beauty that are given here as examples. And you can have several other examples as well, but the poet has given some examples to us. Such the sun, the moon, the trees old and young. There is the sun, there is the moon, there is trees old and young. There are old and young trees. There is sun, there is the moon. Sprouting a shady boon. The trees are developing a shady boon, a shady blessing, because there are trees, whether they are old trees or young trees, they have the capacity to give us, they have the skill of giving us a shady place. They will always create a bower for us. A bower is a pleasant place under the shade of trees. So no matter what is happening in our lives, this is the tranquility that trees give us, and they are developing a shady boon. Boon refers to blessing, it means blessing for simple sheep. Interestingly, it's a biblical reference here. Note it down, please. Simple sheep is a reference to human beings. We are the human beings, and in the biblical language, sheep means human beings. Jesus is called the shepherd. He is the one who guides us. God is the one who guides us. So he is the force of the entire universe. But it does not really refer only to this one Christian God. It can be, even though it's a biblical reference, here simple sheep is for all human beings irrespective of religions. Please don't understand it in religious terminology only. But yes, it's a biblical reference. In biblical references, we are, human beings are sheep. So for simple sheep, for human beings, there are so many blessings in the world. There is the sun, there is the moon, there are trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep. And such are daffodils. Daffodils are beautiful flowers that are there. They're beautiful to look at. They are, they just add to the beauty in the environment. With the green world they live in. The daffodils are there in the green world. There are trees, there are shrubs. The daffodils are also in between them. And clear rills, R-I-L-L-S. Rills means small streams of water. So are we clear with this particular thing? Some shape of beauty moves away the pall, the cover of sadness from our dark spirits. Such the sun, the moon, the trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep. And such are daffodils, such are the flowers with the green world that they live in. and clear rills, clear small streams of water. Let's move ahead. Now rubbing the board. Let's move ahead. That for themselves a cooling covert make. Covert means a protecting layer, a layer of protection. So these small streams of water can create that kind of impact which is cooling. Like if you go and sit near a pond, when you go and sit, relax near a water body, you always immediately feel cool. So these small streams of water are able to create a covert, a protective layer, which is like it may be blazing sun outside, but the clear streams of water, no matter what temperature it is, if you sit near them, they always give you a cooling impact. So we are talking about another blessing from nature. See, streams of water are also a part of nature. They also have some role to play. The sun has a role to play, the moon has a role to play. The trees, whether they are old and young, they have a role to play. The flowers are there to, to look at. There is a beautiful green world. Imagine all of the things that the poet is trying to tell us. They make a covert against the hot season. They make a cooling impact no matter what season it is, especially in a hot season. It's beautiful to be near a water body. The mid-forest break, B-R-A-K-E here means shrubs, vegetation in between. Rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, shrubs as vegetation, and in between, as if somebody has sprinkled roses, musk rose, beautiful smelling roses, musk rose, it smells beautiful. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms. Now see, from here to here we are changing the dynamic of what the poet is trying to say. So please understand that till here we are talking about the various objects of nature, various things that are there in nature that give us happiness and tranquility and peace. Till here we are talking like that. From this line, such too is the grandeur of the dooms, we change slightly. Please don't be confused. Grandeur means grandness, greatness, magnificence. Such too is the grandeur of the dooms of the dead people. What else inspires one other than nature? Think about it. Like we have completely subtracted the material things here. If you are sad, if you're disappointed, if your paths have become dark, if you're living like dead people, you have no inspiration in life, then what is it other than nature that can inspire you? Think about it. If you think about it, you will realize that inspirational stories of great people who have been here on the surface of earth, even those stories have a way of reaching us, reaching to us and inspiring us and alleviating our pain. Those great dead people who have been here on the surface of earth, they have performed great deeds. Their lives have been inspirational. And we hear their stories, we read their stories. So when we hear their stories and we read their stories, they inspire us and alleviate pains and take us out of our dark paths. They tell us to do something better. They tell us, they completely encourage us to do something better, to choose paths that are better for us. So likewise, like the beauty of nature, even the beauty that lies in the inspirational stories of the great dead people, that has an impact on our spirits. Such too is the grandeur of the dooms, the greatness, the magnificence of the great dead people. We have imagined for the mighty dead, for the mighty dead people. Dooms actually is a reference to doomsday. If you don't know about it, please try to know what is doomsday. I'll leave this as your homework. Please look into it. It's again a biblical reference. Please take a look. We have imagined for the mighty dead. What will happen on doomsday? What happens on doomsday? So all the great spirits that have been here on the surface of earth, they have done so many great things that their stories can inspire us. Whenever we read their stories, whenever we hear their stories, there is this impact on us which is magnificent, which is greater than anything else. All lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven's brink. You understand what I'm trying to say here? So we have imagined things for the mighty dead and their stories inspire us. All lovely tales are all inspirational tales that we have heard or read. They inspire us, they make us do great things. An endless fountain. Now, the last two lines, please note down what the poet is trying to say. An endless fountain of immortal drink. What is an immortal drink? Note down the word elixir. Elixir. E-L-I-X-I-R. What is elixir? Amrit. Something that can relieve us all of all our pains, of all our miseries. So whether it is the great stories of the rich, of the dead people who have been here on the surface of earth, or it is the beauty of the beautiful things that are there from nature, all of it has become like an immortal drink. If you are sick, if you are sad, if you are depressed, what can take you away from that sadness? It is the stories of great people, and also it is the nature's beauty. And all of it is coming, this drink, this beautiful elixir of life is coming from the heaven's brink. It is coming from the edge of heaven, as if heaven is the, heaven, like just imagine a kind of image. Sometimes it's very good to imagine images because the poet is talking to you in terms of images. There is a drink that's flowing constantly. It's a drink that's constantly flowing to you, to human beings. And where is it coming from? It is coming from heaven. As if the heavens are overflowing with that goodness. So they give you those stories, they give you that nature's beauty, they give you everything, and all of these things in totality relieve you of your pain. It's very simple. You don't have to go to seek help by paying money. You just have to feel one with nature and stories that you can find that inspire you. So all of these things in totality are like an elixir, they're like an immortal drink. They give you happiness, they give you joy, and they give you a permanent state of joy. They don't give you momentary joy. And all of these things, what is the source of all of these things? It is heaven. It is the gift of heavens. All right, so we are done with this. See, try to imagine everything in totality. Don't look at only individual lines, even though it is important to understand individual lines. But if you can take everything in totality, it's always better. I'll take a sip of water before we move on. Alright, see, when we do the questions, things will become clearer to us. List the things of beauty mentioned in the poem. Can you recollect some things of beauty? These are NCERT questions, think it out questions, questions that make you think. And as I always say, that if you've done NCERT questions, you can do everything else as well, because they in a way open up your brains and let you think about the entire text. List the things of beauty mentioned in the poem. What are the things of beauty mentioned in the poem? If you take a look at the stanzas again, take a look at the stanzas. In your book, please take a look at the stanzas or see here. What are the things of beauty? What are the things of beauty? Can you find them out? When the poet is talking about nature's beauty, what is he saying? That there is the sun, there is the moon, there is trees old and young that sprout a shady boon for simple sheep, for human beings, and there are daffodils. There are the daffodils, the flowers are growing in the green forests, and there are small streams of water that have a cooling impact, that create a covert, that create a protective layer from the hot season. Then there is the mid-forest break. There is shrubs that are growing in the middle of the forest that are rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms that are beautiful to look at. Those flowers are beautiful to look at, but if you smell also, they intoxicate you. All right. So these are the things of beauty from nature that the poet is talking about. What is the question? Can you see the question again? List the things of beauty mentioned in the poem. So will we mention the beauty that lies in the stories of the great dead people? Yes, because the poet is asking the book is asking a general question. What are the things of beauty mentioned in the poem? So you will write about all the things that are in nature that are beautiful, but along with that you would also write about the great inspirational stories of dead people who have done great deeds, and their stories inspire us now. Whenever we read their stories, whenever we hear their stories, they alleviate our pains and inspire us to do better things in life and not move on over darkened paths. Second question, list the things that cause suffering and pain. See, so I love the way NCERT makes us revise everything. List the things that cause suffering and pain. Any recollection? The things that cause suffering and pain are that we have a lack of humanity in the world, that we are constantly searching on over darkened paths, we have material chase, we have selfish ambitions, we are living like dead people all the time, we have a lack of nobility, we have a lack of greatness, goodness, because we have become so selfish. The material chase, the movement on over darkened paths, all of these things are collectively making us very sad. So these are the things that give suffering and pain to human beings. What does the line, therefore are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us towards suggest to? You see, I told you very clearly that when we do this question, we don't look at what the poet is saying literally. We look at it from a figurative perspective. What is the figurative perspective here? That there is a bond between human beings and nature. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to earth. Because nature gives us everlasting happiness, because only nature is capable of giving us that happiness. What do we do every morning? After the dark of the night is gone, every morning is an effort to reconnect with nature. Every morning we feel one with nature. Every morning I sit down and count my blessings, that is the various things of beauty that surround me. So it's the bonding that I have with Mother Nature, and that bonding is the it's like the backbone of human life. If you don't have this connection, then life is useless. What makes human beings love life in spite of all the troubles and sufferings? How would you write the answer? The answer is that there is sadness in life, there is suffering in life. We have created so much sadness for ourselves. Nobody else has done this for us. We have created this sadness. But what will alleviate our pain, what will take us away from this state is finding joy and happiness in the lap of nature, in the various beautiful things that surround us, and finding joys that are permanent, that are everlasting, that are always giving tranquility, and finding inspiration in the stories of the great dead people. Fifth question from the NCERT book. Why is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? Mighty dead, great dead people. We have already discussed it, but let me repeat the answer to you. Grandeur or greatness or magnificence is connected with the mighty dead people because their deeds inspire us. They have been here on the surface of earth. Their stories inspire us. Whenever we listen to their stories or we read their stories ourselves, we have this inspiration that comes into us, that completely attaches to our spirit, and that makes us go on in life. No matter what kind of sadness we are facing, no matter what kind of depression we are facing, these stories can inspire us onto and they can take you onto the right path. Do we experience things of beauty only for short moments, or do they make lasting impression on us? See, this is a very clear question. I think we began the poem with this, that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. In the view of the poet John Keats, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And here the poet means natural things of beauty, beauty that actually exists, that is here to stay. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It never passes into nothingness. So things of beauty have a lasting impression on us. They are not there for momentary happiness or momentary joy. So do we experience things of beauty only for short moments? No, things of beauty have a lasting impact on us. When we experience it firsthand, then also it is giving us happiness. If we think about it later, because there is an image that's etched on your mind when you are in the lap of nature. So no matter where you are then, you will always be able to recollect that happiness that you felt in the grip of nature, in the in the lap of nature. So things of beauty have a lasting impression on us. Question number 7. What image does the poet use to describe the beautiful bounty of the earth? I told you about an image towards the end of our discussion about the extract. There is the image of heavenly drink. There is a immortal drink that's coming unto us from the heavens brink. It's almost like the heavens are brimming with that drink. They are, the drink is overflowing from the heaven's edge, and that's coming directly to human life. It is the blessing of nature. It is the beauty of nature that's constantly coming to us. We are full of that happiness all the time. That beauty keeps coming to us all the time. Nature is sending us all these blessings, whether it's the sun, the moon, the trees old and young sprouting a shady boon, or the mid-forest brake, or daffodils, or the musk rose blooms, whatever it is. It's coming from the heavens, and all of it collectively is what? It's like an elixir, like an immortal drink that takes you away from that pain, that takes you away from that disappointment. And such too is the grandeur of the dooms, and also the stories of the great dead people. All of its source is what? It's the heaven, the nature. It's the supreme powers over us that give us all of these bounties, all of these joys from nature. Okay, let's take a look at some other important questions also. Like, I guess I need to repeat it in every class that you will be asked MCQs, and you will be asked short answer type questions, and you will be asked long answer type questions from literature. So you cannot be ignoring any part of it. Any line that you've ignored, they might ask a question from it, and then you will not be able to attempt it in the exam. It will get confusing for you. So please pay attention, write down the meanings, and try to attempt as many questions as there are from the web also. There are previous year's questions as well. I choose some questions for each class, but if you can do other questions as well, it will be great for you. So let's take a look, but don't ignore NCERT questions ever. They are the most important. Why and how is grandeur associated with the mighty dead? I guess you know the answer already. Grandeur, remember the meaning of the word grandeur, greatness, magnificence. It's associated with the mighty dead because their stories inspire us. Whether we read their stories or we hear their stories from other people, whatever is the source, but those stories inspire us. They take us away from sadness, from petty things. We are constantly, bickering. We are constantly selfish. We are constantly chasing things that are not important in life. All great people did not do it. They were involved in greatness. They were involved in larger humanity. So their stories can take us out. They can almost like pull us out of that sadness and make us move onto the right path. What is the message of the poem A Thing of Beauty? What would be the message? What according to you is the message of this poem? Do you have anything in your mind? Yes. I think I really can't get your answer right away, but I have a way of knowing it. What is the message of the poem A Thing of Beauty? The message, the larger message that John Keats is trying to give here is that there is beauty in nature, there is beautiful nature, there are blessings that are given to you that are truly beautiful, and those things of beauty are a joy forever. If you experience it once, you will always be able to, find happiness in it. Its loveliness increases. So no matter what kind of pain you are feeling in your life, there are troubles in life. There are troubles. Human life is full of troubles. Human life is full of despondence, of disappointment. Human life is full of sadness and depression. But no matter what your problems are, no matter what set of troubles you are facing, if you can find joys in the lap of nature, you are blessed. You are happy as a person. So a thing of beauty is a joy forever. That there is a bounty that's lying ready for you all the time. That's just, you just have to wake up one day and reconnect. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band. What does Keats consider an endless fountain of immortal drink, and what does he call its drink immortal? We just, did this. We have the answer with us. that all the things collectively, whether that is nature's beauty or the stories, inspiration, that whatever we want in our lives to take us out of that sadness, where is it coming from? It is a divine source. It's we cannot take credit for creating that source. It's not like a new shopping mall that you can build for yourself. Okay, you're sad, let's have a shopping mall here. Oh, you're sad, let's go to watch this movie. It's not that kind of a short, momentary kind of a thing. It's a thing that's perennial, that's continuous with you, and that's going to make an impact which is a permanent, everlasting impact. So for that you need a divine source. You don't have that source with yourself. So it's a heavenly drink, and it takes us away from sadness, from disappointments in life. All right. There's 3 lines from the poem, and there are some questions. So, therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery bend to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence of the inhuman dearth of noble natures. So, they may give you just 2-3 lines from the poem, and they might ask you questions. And it could be a multiple choice question or a short answer type question, or however the question looks to you. What is morrow? Like say they ask you the meaning of this word morrow. So what is the meaning of the word morrow? Morning. The next day, morning. Remember, morrow and morning are like closely connected as words. I don't think it will be very difficult. Like in old English, they would say good morrow. They would not say good morning. So if you want to surprise anyone, just say good morrow someday. Why do we need a flowery band? Why do you need a flowery band? Flowery band is the symbol of our connection with nature. It is the bond that you have forged with nature. It's like how on every morning you reconnect with nature to take you out of your sadness. So the purpose of that, the band is a symbol of your connection. What does this band do? It takes you out of your sadness. It is the thing that connects you again to nature. What is inhuman in life? They might ask you some question like, what is inhuman life? There's so much selfishness in the world that we are surrounded with inhumanity all the time. Alright, next slide here. The lines given here are some shape of beauty moves away the pall. Remember the meaning of the word pall? From our dark spirits. Now from this there are 4 questions. How does beauty help us when we are burdened with grief? So if it is a multiple choice question, they will give you 4 options here. How does a thing of beauty help us when we are burdened with grief? It relieves you, it alleviates your pain, it helps you reconnect with nature. So there could be any options. See, language can be different, but you could be choosing one of the options. A thing of beauty takes you away from sadness, it becomes your joy forever. Explain some shape of beauty. What do you mean by some shape of beauty? Some shape of beauty, I told you in the middle of our lesson somewhere. Some shape of beauty is a reference to some form of nature's beauty. Some form, in some shape. It could be a mountain, it could be a tree, it could be shrubs, it could be flowers. It could be anything, some shape of beauty, some form of nature's beauty. Identify the figure of speech in the above lines. Is there a figure of speech? Of course there must be. What is the figure of speech? See, the common figures of speech that are used, that are asked in CBSE exam and are there in the poems prescribed for your syllabus. Alliteration is very important when the sounds are repeating. When 2 sounds consecutively, 2 or more sounds consecutively are repeating, they are called, that's called alliteration. When there is a comparison with as and like, using as and like, it is simile. When there is a comparison without using as and like, it becomes a metaphor, okay? And sometimes when a non-living thing is presented as a human, as is given the attributes of a human being, it's called personification. So these are the common devices that are used. So please pay attention wherever these comparisons are being used. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. So what is the figure of speech used here? Think about it. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall, the cover of sadness from our dark spirits. Metaphor? We are comparing ourselves but without the cover of sadness, but we are not using as or like here, so it's a metaphor. Why are our spirits referred to as dark? We are called dark spirits here. Why are our spirits called dark here? Our spirits have been called dark because we are living life which is almost like death. We are moving on over darkened paths, we have sadness, we have disappointment. So all of it collectively is adding to our larger sadness, and we have become more like dead human beings. Which is why the poet says that there is a cover of sadness, there is a cover of, the cover of sadness on us, the cover of sadness that we are surrounded by, that we are covered by, that sadness has been compared to the cover that with which a dead body is covered, a pall, with which a coffin is covered. But the poet is not using as and like here. This is why it is a metaphor. So there is a comparison. We are being compared to dead bodies. The cover of sadness that we have is being compared to a pall, to the cover of a dead body. But there is no as and like used here.